The following is a presentation of TFNN. The Morning Market Kickoff with your host, Tommy O'Brien. Now, Tommy O'Brien.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Tommy O'Brien, coming to you live from TFNN, 9:06 a.m. We got about 24 minutes to go until the start of trading, but we're already trading pre-market, folks. We got GDP numbers out, strong numbers from GDP at 8:30. We're trading higher, and you're talking about almost 100 points from where we were yesterday as I was almost getting off the air. I mean, you look at this chart. I got it going back to yesterday. These are 5-minute bars on the S&P. 10 o'clock in the morning, we're trading at 39.70. We're up 90 points. From that price level, it's basically been a one-way trip since 10:45 in the morning. You see the volatility this morning around that 8:30 number. We'll jump into it in a moment, but S&P's right now up by 0.2%. NASDAQ 100, we're up by 1.2% almost. Dow up right now 0.33%. So you see the impact there, talking about the NASDAQ. Big numbers from the NASDAQ as they're trading higher. We jump over to the gold contract. Quite the run yesterday. Towards the end of the day, up near 1950. You make it down near 1930. Again, we're jumping around to 1940. Basically flat for the session. But boy, you talk about volatility in between. The 10-year, we're negative by 5 ticks, but you just caught a pop of about 9 ticks from where we were right on that number. But you're kind of right back to where we were at about 8 a.m. this morning. We're negative by 5 ticks, a little bit of higher yield this morning. Nonetheless, volatility there as well. The 30-year is flat at 130.24. We jump over to the VIX as this market just continues higher. The VIX sitting at about 1907 right now. And let's jump over to the currencies. Dollar index, 101.68. Now you take a look at this dollar index on a daily. It's just lower prices, man. Now, I have this Fibonacci number up here from the run that began last February of about 95 in the dollar up to about 115, ballparking, kind of just choosing a little bit of linear regression in terms of where we draw that top line. You've been flirting with the 618, but boy, you're coming into some dicey territory in terms of you're really not flirting with it anymore. We got a period of lower lows and lower highs in the dollar index. We're now, just below that 618 area in the dollar index, and you're talking about coming into the lower levels of May, that low 101.41, and we're trading right now at 101.67. We've made it as low as 101.50. Okay, 101.41 was the low back there. So that 101.50 below where we were on January 8th for the dollar, and we are coming right back into that area in terms of the May lows in the dollar of about 101.40. Interesting to see where the dollar goes, yields goes, where indices go from there. And let's jump over to those GDP numbers. U.S. GDP expands at a healthy 2.9% pace, okay? Slowdown signs mount. It is very interesting how good news is good news, bad news is bad news, the other way around. Where are we today? Today it seems like good news is good news. The economy is growing at a faster rate than they thought, and getting into the PCE numbers for the quarter in here show that inflation is coming down. Now we get December PCE, personal consumption expenditures. We get those tomorrow. That is the Fed's preferred inflation gauge. Okay, so we get those for the month of December tomorrow. But nonetheless, you have quarterly data that we'll get into in a moment. So consumer spending rose at 2.1% rate. Trailing estimates. There's a lot in this data when you get first look from the Commerce Department of a quarterly GDP number. The number, the headline number, okay, 2.9%. Pretty decent number, man. For annualized growth for the final 3 months of 2022, that's after a 3.2% gain in the third quarter. Okay, now this is the initial estimate. What do we get? 2 or 3 looks at this at least in terms of the numbers. Personal consumption, that is the biggest part of the economy, climbed at a below forecast 2.1% pace, hinting to potential slowdowns, okay? Median projections, we're looking for a 2.6% rise in GDP and a 2.9% advance in spending. So what do we get? We get a bigger number in GDP, and we get a pretty dramatically lower number in terms of spending, 2.1 versus 2.9. About half of the GDP increase reflected inventory growth, while government spending matched the biggest gain since early 2021. Now, you take a look at it on the chart. There's your 2.9% number we just got for the quarter ending 2022. Here is your number that we got for the prior quarter at 3.2%. The prior 2 quarters before that was where all the recessionary talk took place, right? 2 consecutive quarters of declining GDP. That is the definition, textbook definition. Is it? We're still having the discussion. Is it coming? Remember the discussion back then? Is it's here? A lot of people think it's here. It's an interesting one if it is here, okay, in terms of where we are. Is this what a recession looks like when we're weekly jobless claims out today? Again, under 200,000. Last week, they revised it, 192. I think we came in at what, 188, 185, something like that. Is this what a recession looks like? Quarterly growth of 2.9% on an annualized pace with unemployment at 3.5% and weekly jobless claims at under 200,000. It's quite a unique recession if that's what it looks like. Now, getting into the personal consumption numbers in here, okay? The GDP report showed the personal consumption expenditures price index, a key inflation metric for the Fed, rose at an annualized pace of 3.2% in the fourth quarter. It's quite a number, man. Down from 4.3% in the prior 3 months. 3.2%, that's the headline. That's the headline. The core index, okay, which excludes food and energy, was at 3.9 with 4.7 paces in the prior 2 quarters. Oil having a lot to do when you're looking at it on a quarterly basis, okay, because, boy, folks, that is talking about, let's take a look at crude. You got crude this morning. Come on, where are we? About $82, okay? Now, that is for October, November, and December numbers, okay? The reason why I mention that is because, boy, that quarter that we just finished up in terms of oil prices, well off anything you saw prior, okay? So that is why you're on the PCE. You are going to see when you look at the quarter in particular, some really low numbers on the headline versus the core, but still pretty magnificent numbers, I would say. 3.2%, man. I mean, we get inflation on a headline basis, because that's not core. That's even headline. That's factoring in crude. You get inflation back to 3%, right? Might be part of the reason that the market is cheering these numbers up 24 points right now. You got the S&P. We're talking about coming up to the highs we had at the beginning of December. It'd be pretty remarkable if we get it all back to where we were in August, man. From 4,300 down to 3,500. You're only 250 points away from that price index, that price point, I should say, on the S&Ps. But yeah, all of that comes ahead of the monthly data for December that's going to be released tomorrow morning. Now, interesting, we get that number tomorrow morning. We have a Fed meeting that begins on Tuesday. We have an announcement on Wednesday. And we got some big tech earnings coming out next week as well, man, as well. All right, let's jump to it as we come into this break. Tesla, some strong numbers for Tesla, man. They're trading higher. They're up by $14 right now. That's almost a 10% pop. So they're going to trade at 159, we'll call it right now, to put it on this chart in terms of where we're trading at, okay? Now, this is the 382 from September when Tesla was trading at above 300. And it's a pretty one-way trip from 300 to $100, okay? You're talking about a 382 of that chart, folks, gets you to 182. They're talking about Tesla today in the Tiger's Den. This morning, folks, if you haven't checked out the Den, please come check it out. If you listen to any of the programs, join the Den for $1. You get in there, whether it's pre-market, during the market, after market, on the weekends. Our man Dave White was talking about Tesla yesterday. We'll finish up talking a little bit of Tesla. Tesla, though, up 10% prior to the market open this morning. Stay tuned, folks. Lots to go over. We'll be right back. If you're looking for potential trading setups in the stock market, then Rocket Equities and Options Report is a newsletter you should try. Tommy O'Brien delivers options and equity trades when the markets present them, using a combination of fundamentals and technicals. Sign up for Rocket Equities and Options Report today with a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you have nothing to risk. For all the details and to start your subscription today, visit the front page of TFNN.com. TFNN, educating investors.
Everything in the universe is governed by the Fibonacci sequence. This mathematical principle is responsible for everything from the most aesthetically pleasing artwork to patterns in the stock market. To stay on top of stock patterns you can take advantage of, sign up for the Fibonacci 24/7 newsletter at TFNN.com. When you subscribe, you'll get a weekly report from veteran day trader Larry Pesavento on stocks you need to pay attention to. And you can trust Larry's analysis. After all, he's got 45 years experience as a day trader. Larry will also provide daily charts, videos, and data on the key markets that he's tracking. Expect notifications from Larry on market movement you need to act on at any time. First-time subscribers also get a 30-day money-back guarantee. If you're not satisfied, let us know and you'll get a full refund within 30 days of signing up. Subscribe to the Fibonacci 24/7 newsletter today. TFNN.com, educating investors.
Steve Rhodes started his trading career as a student almost 20 years ago, and the student has now become the master. Steve won the prestigious Timer of the Year award in 2018 and barely missed that mark again in 2019, finishing at number 2 for the year. An amazing accomplishment. Steve Rhodes is committed to sharing his techniques and knowledge with anyone who wants to learn, and he shares his vast amount of trading knowledge every day in his Mastering Probability newsletter. Steve's award-winning newsletter, Mastering Probability, is delivered every trading day with updates throughout the afternoon. Sign up for Steve's market newsletter, Mastering Probability, and you'll receive access to 7 of Steve's educational webinars absolutely free. At TFNN, all our newsletters come with a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you have absolutely nothing to worry about. Visit TFNN.com and try Mastering Probability 30 days risk-free today. TFNN, educating investors.
TFNN has launched the Tiger's Den. Hosted at Discord, TFNN has been educating traders for more than 20 years with live programming hosted by a variety of professional traders during market hours. The Tiger's Den, available to all tigers and tigresses for just $1 for the year. There's no catch or added costs when you join our community of traders. Sign up today and become a part of this educational community of traders. Just visit the front page of TFNN.com.
Welcome back, folks. We got S&P futures up by 27 points right now. We're trading at 4,059, just off the pre-market session highs of about 4,060. Let's jump over to our man, Kevin Hincks. Every trading day, folks, right here on Tiger TV, the TD Ameritrade Network at noon Eastern time with Fast Market. Your host, Kevin Hincks, Tom White, the whole team at TD Ameritrade Network, folks. They got some great guests. They walk you through the day's action. They set up hypothetical trade setups, usually 3 of them. We're right in the middle of earnings, and boy, we're right in the middle of some pretty cool economic data. Kevin Hincks, what do you think of the GDP numbers as we start things off on a busy Thursday?
Good morning, Tommy O'Brien. Yeah, there's a lot of numbers today. I call it Data Dump Thursday, and GDP was a really good number, 2.9%, higher than consensus. Remember, this is the fourth quarter GDP, so the 3.2% last month, that was the previous quarter. So the first look, 2.9%, that's pretty solid. And not only that, Tommy, the personal consumption expenditures of 2.1%, that's a low number of looking at the overall inflation picture. So really good news, not only on the strength of the U.S. economy, but inflation as well, Tommy, in the GDP numbers.
Yeah, you got to the number that I was going to ask about, Kevin, and I had the Bloomberg up here saying, pretty remarkable, annualized. Let's see, the personal for the whole quarter, 3.2%, man. I mean, if we're back to the conversation of 3%, now that's ahead of course, we get December's number tomorrow. What are you looking for, I guess, tomorrow, Kevin? Because does that raise the expectations almost for the PCE tomorrow? Because that's what caught my eye as well, man, because, of course, where we are right now, the Fed, their hiking cycle, and inflation in the PCE, their preferred gauge. Where does that set the stage for tomorrow morning? Because I instantly found myself saying, man, we better get a big number for December because those are some big numbers for the quarter there.
Yeah, important number. And right now, the consensus is for the PCE year over year, the headline to come in 5% versus 5.5% a month ago. The core, 4.4 versus 4.7 a month ago. So I think the market, if they beat these numbers, the market's going to really like that. I mean, the month-over-month numbers are coming down pretty substantially here. So overall, it looks like inflation's on the right path. But remember, the government just spent $1.7 trillion more dollars, and eventually, what's that going to do to the inflation picture? Right now, in the short term, it looks like inflation's on the right path. Will it continue that, Tommy, is the question. So that's the concern in my eyes. But right now, the numbers, as they're moving, pretty solid.
Yeah, I'd say the last month of data that we've gotten, or even 6 weeks, whatever it is in my head, I agree, man. It seems like it's all lining up. We got another week of weekly jobless claims under 200,000. Kevin, one of my friends was joking today. Just GDP up, jobs down. Oh my goodness, we're the market, it's going to hell. As in, of course it's not. The sarcasm is in quite a number there. We got Tesla catching a bit as well. They've been a fallen rock for a while. Tesla up this morning. What'd you think of the Tesla numbers? Up by almost 10% for them.
If you watched Fast Market yesterday, we really focused on the price cuts that they've done to get below that $55,000 threshold, which kicked in the government tax credits. That's one of the reasons why Elon Musk lowered those prices. Now, their gross margins went from 25 down to 25.9%. That's the lowest in 5 years. But, Tommy, the big automakers would dream about 25.9% margins on their cars. So, I mean, when you look at what those price cuts did to demand, orders right now twice the rate of production is what Tesla is seeing. It's pretty incredible. Elon Musk has delivered again, Tommy.
Yeah, it is pretty incredible, because I remember when they were coming out, I was talking to people in my house saying, man, it's wild. Check out these prices, right? I mean, it's not shaving $1,000 off, man. You're shaving 10 or 20 grand off, depending on the model. And like you said, then it puts it under that important number, whether it's for the sedan or some of the SUVs, I think, got under the 80,000 number as well. At least one of them or something like that. So pretty interesting. Tesla, well off the lows of about $100, man, at 158. Be interesting to see where we go. S&P's climbing as well, up 30, and we got the NASDAQ 100, Kevin, up almost 50 at this point. With that in mind, earnings season marches on. What are you guys talking about at 12 today, Kevin?
Another good show planned today, Tommy. We're going to look in the first segment. We're going to look at Chevron. They've got earnings tomorrow morning before the open, and they just announced a big dividend hike. And frankly, Tommy, what I had to check to see if it was a typo, $75 billion share buyback program. That is incredible when you think of what they're. And like Folio is going to talk about Visa. We see the swipes that Visa comes in, and then we'll look at Intel, what also has earnings coming out after the bell. So a real good show today, covering a lot of names: Chevron, Visa, and Intel today.
Yeah, that's quite a move on Chevron, man. I pulled it up here as you were talking about it on the Thinkorswim platform, from about 179 up to pushing almost 186, man. Visa, steady as it goes, 226 on this equity. And yeah, Intel after the bell as well, trading higher with the market this morning. Kevin, I appreciate the time on a busy morning as always, man. We'll be watching the show today, and we don't talk to you tomorrow. You have a great one, and we'll talk to you on Tuesday, man.
Thanks for having me on, Tommy. Have a great weekend.
Always a pleasure. You too, Kevin. Folks, tune in every day, 12 o'clock, Fast Market. Kevin Hincks, Tom White. And you heard it, folks. They were talking about Tesla yesterday, and it's pretty remarkable. If you haven't seen those price hikes, look them up, because they are so substantial. The only thing I say, though, is those poor people that bought the day before those price hikes, you just lighting money on fire, man. 10 to 20 grand, depending on what kind of model that you had in there. There was a great journal piece, I think, or maybe it was a Washington Post, or maybe it was a Bloomberg piece, just talking about some of those people that bought a Tesla in the last 2 to 3 months. They just took it on the chin, man. People taking delivery in December, et cetera. They slashed those prices, and instantly the whole market reset, right? Used market resets, new market resets. It all drives the action, and basically they just take it on the chin to the tune of 10 or 20 grand. But nonetheless, it is a substantial price cut when you're talking about literally $10,000 plus on a sedan of pretty affordable trade value in terms of $50,000, $60,000 sedan. That's almost becoming a mid-price sedan, right? I mean, not really, but pretty close, which is just crazy when you put it that way. All right, so there's Tesla. They're trading up by about $15 so far this morning. What else do we got? We got some earnings out this morning. We got Southwest out with their numbers. They're trading down a bit, by down almost $1 at $36 from $36.87. See what else we got out here. Yeah, you had IBM with their numbers last night. You got a brief spike, but you're off by about 2% so far this morning. We had Lam Research, one of the equities that Fast Market covered yesterday, down about $6 on their numbers. A little bit of volatility in either direction for Lam Research. Yeah, Las Vegas Sands as well. You're trading higher, Las Vegas Sands, up by about 5% from 55 to 57.50. If you want some action on China. What do we got? We talked about Southwest American. They're a little bit higher this morning from about 16 and change to 16.55. And yeah, so Chevron was out with their huge numbers. Valerio had their numbers. They're up a little bit, up by about $1. What do you have? MasterCard had their numbers. What's their symbol? MA. Yeah, so they're up a bit. 382, basically up with the market. And Visa, as Kevin said, they'll be talking about Visa. Visa has their numbers after the bell today, along with Intel. We'll talk about some of the other equities. Stay tuned, folks. We're coming back from the market open. We'll be right back.
Building wealth trading in the stock market seems impossible to most people. They think it's too volatile and risky. Most people aren't going to take the time to educate themselves on how to do it right. But you're not most people, are you? At TFNN, you'll get the guidance you need to refine your strategies and techniques to invest like a pro. Because you'll be a pro. All TFNN subscriptions, books, software, and courses are available at TFNN.com. And I'm even going to tell you how to get them for less. Use TFNN's Tiger Dollars and you'll get up to a 20% bonus on your purchase. And once you apply them to your account, Tiger Dollars are automatically used for all future or recurring charges. Tiger Dollars also never expire, are fully transferable, and are a great way to add savings to your newsletters or services. Become the investor you were born to be at TFNN.com. TFNN, educating investors.
TFNN is excited about our new software charting program, The Art of Timing the Trade Charts. In collaboration with Tom O'Brien and using his best-selling book, The Art of Timing the Trade, Your Ultimate Trading Mastery System, David White has programmed an outstanding piece of software that will complement any trader's methodology. Using this first-of-its-kind program, The Art of Timing the Trade Charts allows you to scan thousands of stocks for Fibonacci formation setups, including Gartley's, ABC's, butterflies, and much more. The Art of Timing the Trade Charts is designed to help you when scouring the markets for stocks just beginning to form the trading patterns that many investors spend days, weeks, or even months searching to find. And right now, we're offering licenses available at only $79 a month. We are so confident that you're going to love this new charting software that will even give you a 30-day unconditional money-back guarantee. Don't miss out on this incredible new piece of software. Get your copy of The Art of Timing the Trade Charts today by visiting TFNN.com.
Sharpening your skills as an investor is like getting better at playing a musical instrument. You have to practice, sure, but you also need excellent instruction from experts. At TFNN, you'll get advice and guidance from the authority in technical market analysis. And it's not just dry, tedious text either. TFNN airs live financial content streamed live on TFNN.com and TFNN's YouTube channel with Tiger TV, live every market day from 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern. For free. Each host is an experienced trader and gives their take on the market while taking calls and questions live from around the world. From the moment the market opens until the closing bell sounds, Tiger TV has 8 different shows with expert hosts to help you make the right moves with your money. Watch online at TFNN.com or on TFNN's YouTube channel and become the investor you were born to be. TFNN, educating investors.
This segment is brought to you by Thinkorswim. For more information, just click the Thinkorswim banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
Welcome back, folks. We got markets open. You're looking at an S&P up about 26 points right now. NASDAQ up about 147. Could see volatility in both directions today, man, when you get a number like we just got, which is a really strong GDP number and a really weak inflationary number. So those two combined ahead of the PCE, ahead of a Fed meeting. Chairman Powell probably enjoying his morning coffee a little bit extra than usual. Jumping around to some of the data that we were looking at today. One of my friends was posting this tweet in one of our chats. I thought it was interesting. Heather Long, who is she? Let's see. Washington Post economic columnist, okay? Sometimes you need to look at the big picture, and this is talking about an incredible rebound from the 2020 pandemic. But when you talk about 2020 having a decline of 2.8, the rebound of 5.9, and then you follow it up, and this is the year number, was 2.1%. You heard Kevin Hincks mention it. So we just got the number from the final 3 months of 2022. The whole year, even with those 2 quarters in between, right, that were negative, 2.1%. And when you check it out on a chart, man, we have gotten back the entire potential, basically projected GDP going forward, even after the decline we got. When you're talking about U.S. gross domestic product, okay, we dropped from 19 and change to about 17 trillion and change, and just like that, we're back over 20. Now, we'll see where we go forward from that number. If the Fed gets a little sticky, if inflation gets a little sticky, but looking at the personal consumption expenditure on top of it, yeah. Interesting nonetheless as markets trade higher. Let's see how Tesla's opening this morning on their numbers. Up by 10.57%. So Tesla, taking a look again. We talked about the larger trend from about 300. A 382 of there could get you to 182 and change. Pretty remarkable that you can get an 80% move upward, and all that is a 382 bounce of your move down. But if you want to be a little bit more conservative, okay, and you just want to take the move that this thing had, well, here's what's so remarkable, right, is that you could almost do it on a couple occasions, as in you could take it from 237, you could take it from 197, you could take it from 384, although that one definitely had a run up, okay? But if you want to be most conservative, it's just talking about the run that we've had recently from basically 200 to 100. Now, what's cool here is, folks, you got an area of confluence between about 162 and 182, okay? The 682, which is where we're coming into right now, man, we just hit 161.42 within about 50 pennies, okay, of a 682 of the move that we had from December 1st of $200 down to the lows of about 100. We're coming into that 618 area, basically right where we are to this moment at 162. An area of confluence lines up because an area of confluence, folks, if you're not familiar, it is when a 382 of one trend and a 618 of another trend, so you have the 382 and the 618 of differing trends coinciding. That creates an area that could be a support or resistance, okay? And you have one larger trend, which was the move down from September 21st of 311 or so down to 100. The 382 of that area is about 182. Then you have the shorter term trend right here from just talking about where it was December 1st, where it was a one-way trip from 200 to 100, okay? And that area is 162. So you're coming right up to that area, man, and you just basically touched it on Tesla shares. All right, what else? Let's see what else we have going on. Let's see how some of the equities that did have their numbers are moving so far. IBM, you're down about 3.7%. Yeah, they're dropping like a stone on the open. Not good for IBM, down 3.7% on their numbers. Let's see, Lam had their numbers. They claw back most of those losses that you had last night. Let's see how Chevron's trading on that number. Up 3.3% for Chevron shares and ahead of their numbers. Let's jump over. Intel, you're up about 0.8%, basically with the market. You jump over, and we take a look in terms of the volatility. So Intel, only about a $2 move. Interesting, priced in for their numbers, right? They got their numbers when? After the bell today. And you're looking at about $2.22 implied volatility. And these are for the options with action through tomorrow. It's interesting, right? The market maker expected move, which is geared around event, about $2.14 of that volatility premium for earnings tonight. And only about another 8 pennies carrying through next week. Really remarkable how low the volatility is for a company like this on Intel. Now, all things considered, okay, we've been chopping around in a $2.50 range since about September 12th when you dropped into here from 25 to 30. Now, we'll call it a $5 range. Yeah, $5 range. But nonetheless, you're talking about $2.20 of earnings volatility with their numbers after the bell tonight. Let's see what Visa's got in there. Visa, following MasterCard numbers, you jump over the Analyze tab, and you're talking about, about an $8 move for Visa. So there's a move for you for a $226 stock. And yeah, that open we had on Tuesday, it's going to mess up a lot of charts, man. Not a real tail or a real tail on that bar. But nonetheless, Visa up about 0.5% today with their numbers tomorrow. And what else do we got? We got Chevron before the bell tomorrow. CVX, they're up by the 3.3% on their news. You got American Express with their numbers tomorrow after the bell, prior to the open as well for American Express, and they're going to be up about 0.7%. All right, let's check how our currencies are doing. We got the dollar index. You're up by 7 ticks. Yeah, you get a little volatility in both directions right now in the dollar. You jump over to price of crude, sitting just under $82. Quite a run up from this morning. And yeah, we had a 79 handle at about 4 a.m. And you just hit $82, 81.96 for the price of crude. We jump over to gold. Quite a run, man. Taking that one off there. Yeah, a little bit of negative action off that 1950 mark, but boy, gold hasn't seen a pause yet. Same thing with the dollar. Can't go up forever, folks, but boy, that's quite a run from 1600 to 1950 in the price of the gold contract. All right, let's see what else we had pulled up. Yeah, we talked about Tesla, talked about the numbers. Getting into Southwest, forecast lingering losses as bookings slow in the wake of a holiday meltdown. Now, we jump to American, beats fourth quarter profit expectations as higher fares buoy revenue. Revenue up 17% from 2019 before the pandemic. I mean, think about that, right? Capacity, 8 to 10% higher in its first quarter of 2023 compared to a year earlier. I wish they had put that to the numbers, and I'm sure they're in here somewhere in terms of their numbers. But what I bet capacity is actually down and revenue is up from 2019. Capacity is going to be up in its first quarter of 2023 versus first quarter of last year. Okay, but what these airlines are doing is that they're selling less seats and they're selling it for more money. And that's a business plan that they're probably going to try and stick with if they can. Yeah, I was trying to see if they had those numbers. Yeah, they're just talking about comparing it. It's too bad they compare one thing to 2019 and then they compare another item to 2022, and it's tough to compare the two. But nonetheless, we jump over. American, there's your daily, off about 0.3%, and Southwest, different story. Still dealing with the woes from their debacle, down about 3.3%. JetBlue, when are they out? They're out tomorrow before the opening bell, JetBlue. They're off 1 point. Is that right? No, today. Yeah, they're already out with their numbers, JetBlue. Off about 1.6%. It's Thursday already, folks. Remarkable. Stay tuned. Markets higher. We'll be right back, folks.
You might think that if you want to be successful at trading in the stock market, you're going to need a crystal ball. After all, it's impossible to predict the future, right? Like any endeavor in life, before you decide it's impossible, get some advice from the experts. You might find that it's not so impossible after all. For daily market overviews that give you direction on the key indices, selective stocks, and commodities, subscribe to the Opening Call newsletter at TFNN.com. The Opening Call newsletter is written by Basil Chapman, creator of the trading methodology known as the Chapman Wave. The Chapman Wave up-down sequence gives you an edge in identifying price turns, finding the peaks and valleys in stock prices. Get the Opening Call newsletter by Basil Chapman in your inbox every day. First-time subscribers also get a 30-day money-back guarantee. If you're not satisfied, let us know, and you'll get a full refund within 30 days of signing up. TFNN.com, educating investors.
The technology around us is changing every day. With so much happening, it can seem impossible to keep up with all the information. David White's investment newsletter, The Technology Insider, is designed to give you all the information you need to understand the technology that shapes today's markets and tomorrow's future. David White has made his living staying on the cutting edge of technology. His weekly newsletter will give you specific recommendations for value tech stocks, as well as entry prices, target prices, and stops to set for each trade. Dave delivers his weekly newsletters every Friday with updates throughout the week. You can get the Technology Insider at TFNN.com for only $37.50. Sign up for David's newsletter, The Technology Insider, and get an inside look at everything the technology sector has to offer. Try it risk-free today with our 30-day money-back guarantee. TFNN, educating investors.
Will the S&P 500 continue to climb? For bold trades on U.S. large-cap stocks in either direction, trade SPXL, SPUU, or SPXS. Directions Daily S&P 500 Bull and Bear Leveraged ETFs. Direction Leveraged ETFs. An investor should carefully consider a fund's investment objective, risks, charges, and expenses before investing. A fund's prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction shares. To obtain a fund's prospectus and summary prospectus, call 866-476-7523 or visit directioninvestments.com. A fund's prospectus and summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. An investment in the funds is subject to risk, including the possible loss of principal. The funds are designed to be utilized only by sophisticated investors such as traders and active investors. Distributor Foreside Fund Services, LLC.
This program is brought to you by Vista Gold, traded on the NYSE American and TSX under the symbol VGZ.
Welcome back, folks. Excuse me. We get the S&Ps up 28 points right now. You get the NASDAQ 100 up 1.35% right now. NASDAQ 100 getting impacted more so by the Tesla numbers. Tesla, though, they're impacting everything when you're up 10.4% for that company. You jump over. I mean, you're talking about a company right now valued, come on, where are we? Yeah, over $500 billion again, $502 billion. So it's moving, and it's going to move some of the indices with Tesla up now 9.87%. One of the things that Elon was talking about there, offered a caveated but optimistic outlook for production of 2023. That is quite a disclaimer statement. And this is just a CNBC article talking about some of the numbers here. They cut prices at the end, a move that seems to have sparked demand, and offered a caveated but optimistic outlook for the production of 23. If it's a smooth year without some big supply chain interruption or massive problem, we have the potential to do 2 million cars this year. I think there would be demand for that too. Well, how did 2022 go? Were there any interruptions to Tesla's business? Were there any massive problems that ensued? Were there any supply chain problems? So Elon's saying if that all goes away, we'll do better. Take that one for what it's worth, folks. But nonetheless, the market's sharing it. There's a lot of shorts in there. They were talking about that one as well. But nonetheless, Tesla holding pretty well onto those gains as the market's given up about 15 points right now from where it was. You hit 4,068. We're at 4,055 right now. The NASDAQ, though, being impacted, as I said, more so by Tesla numbers, up 1.2%. The Dow up 0.3% right now. And the Russell up by 0.3% as well. We jump around to some of the other companies with numbers. Comcast beats expectations even as broadband growth slows. Peacock racks up the losses. Revenue. How about the number, man? $30.55 billion. Broadband subscriber growth continued to wane. They would have added 4,000 net subscribers had it not been for the impact of Hurricane Ian. And Peacock surpassed 20 million subscribers, but the streamer's wider losses weighed on NBC Universal's earning. And how, maybe somebody in the den can help me out, man. How does Peacock work? I think I remember signing up for it during the Olympics last year, talking about maybe signing up for it free, of course. And is that a pay service when they talk about it? Surpassed 20 million subscribers? I don't know if that is. Maybe they mentioned it here, but Peacock, here we go. So NBC Universal, 6 months free, and then they charge per month. And I know there's some ways you could probably get it for free too, right? Maybe it comes with Verizon subscription, or they throw it in or something like that in terms of broadband subscription. Revenue increased about 6%. to $9.9 billion during the quarter. They got some good World Cup action, which aired on the Spanish language Telemundo network and Peacock. However, Peacock weighed on the business. It's made up of film, TV, streaming, and theme parks, as its adjusted earnings fell more than 36% to $817 million due to Peacock losses and higher severance expenses. They lost $1 billion related to Peacock, and they lost $559 million the same period last year. Man, and so the losses last year were in line with their earlier outlook of $2.5 billion. That's for Peacock. Man. So what do? They lost $1 billion in the quarter from Peacock. Whew. The company still expects the service's losses to peak this year and then steadily improve thereafter. That doesn't mean make money. That means the losses are going to peak, and then they'll just keep losing money, but a little bit less going forward. Peacock added 5 million net paying subscribers during the fourth quarter, its best quarterly record since 2020. I wonder if that had to do with the World Cup. Peacock, there's only one World Cup every 4 years, man, if that's what they're banking on. Peacock surpassed 20 million paying subscribers. Its revenue nearly tripled to $2.5 billion. So check that out, right? They added 5 million in the quarter, which was like a 33% increase on their numbers because they just surpassed 20. So they started at 15. You add 5. That means that quarter, I wonder what that is, man, because they talked about the World Cup. Yeah, Comcast executives attributed the increase to its live sports programming, the World Cup, NFL, and English Premier League, as well as movies like Nope. Folks, if you think that 5 million had to do with movies like Nope and not the World Cup, then we would be in disagreement. Because I'm guessing that's a lofty number having to do with the World Cup, man. Everybody loves the World Cup. I don't watch soccer, folks. Soccer's a great sport. It's great. I played it when I was a young kid. I just don't watch soccer, right? Americans, many times. I don't have enough time to watch some of the things I really enjoy. Soccer, it's not that big of a deal. We have a great team in St. Petersburg that plays. But the World Cup, everyone watches the World Cup. And the U.S. had a decent run, made it into the knockout stage, etc. And so, yeah, I'm sure that mattered pretty dramatically when they rose their numbers by 33% in that quarter alone. They launched Peacock in 2020. So here we go. $4.99 ad-supported and $10 commercial-free. Yeah, if you cut the cord and you want some NBC action, I guess that's the way to go. But, boy, like you're saying, man, too many streamers. How do you do it? Even in my household, folks. You know, we have Spectrum, and then you got Netflix, you got Disney, you got HBO. What else we got? I know we got more than that. Amazon Prime. Yeah, seems like it keeps going, and there's definitely not enough space for Peacock. But guess what? We pay for Spectrum, and that gets us at all the end. All right, what else we got pulled up on here? Let's check back as these markets fade a bit, man. You're off 18 points, man. You're almost off 0.5% from where we were at the spike high of 4,068. We're right back to where we were at about 8 a.m. this morning before those numbers. Think about that, right? I mean, could you draw up better GDP numbers almost? Yeah, consumer spending was a little bit weak, but boy, on the inflationary front, you can't get better numbers than we just got on the PCE, I think, on a quarterly basis. We'll get the numbers tomorrow for the month of December, but interesting that you're basically back to right where we were prior to those numbers, folks. What does that say? It says there's a lot of optimism built into this market, man. Because I think those numbers are about as good as it can get. You got a GDP that beats, and you got a PCE that looks like inflation is slowing. I mean, PCE, folks, if you weren't listening at the beginning of the program, all right, let's pull up. Is it in this one? I think it may be. Let me scroll down and get the number. No, it might be in the Bloomberg article I was reading. It is. Because this is the one to pay attention to. Maybe this is it? Forgive me, and we'll try it one more time. All right, I'm going to have to find it at the break. Here we go. Perfect. I found it. The GDP report showed the personal consumption expenditures price index, which is the key inflation metric for the Fed, rose at an annualized 3.2% rate in the fourth quarter. That's the headline. The core number was at 3.9%, and that is down on the headline from 4.3% the prior 3 months. Whew. You get one more drop like that, and you're at 2.1%, folks. Yeah. And what does the market do? The market's flat. It's down. Pay attention to that, folks. okay? Lot of optimism built into this market. What do they say? Buy the rumor, sell the news. Maybe we're there. Maybe that was the run-up from 3,800 that we just got. You know, you're up more than 5% from where we were trading at, folks. 20 days ago, not 20 trading days, less than 3 weeks ago in this market. All right, folks, markets fade. Dow actually in the red. Russell flat. S&P's positive by 11. We got 10 minutes left in the show. We're going to be red by the time we get off the air. Stay tuned, folks. One more segment. We got a lot to talk about. We'll talk a little bit more about the equities coming up tomorrow with their numbers. We'll be right back, folks.
TFNN has just launched their new trading room, the Tiger's Den. Hosted at Discord, TFNN has been educating traders for more than 20 years with live programming hosted by a variety of professional traders during market hours. And now they are expanding their reach with the Tiger's Den, available to all tigers and tigresses for just $1 for the year. There's no catch or added costs when you join our community of traders. In the Tiger's Den, you can look over the shoulders of Tom O'Brien and the other TFNN hosts while they analyze charts during their live Tiger TV programs, and join an interactive trading community with hundreds of members exchanging ideas. Interact with other tigers and tigresses as they share trading ideas, news analysis, and discuss the market action all trading day, even at night and on the weekends. The Tiger's Den at Discord is accessible on mobile or tablets as well, so it's always at your reach. To sign up today and become a part of this educational community of traders, just visit the front page of TFNN.com.
You might think that if you want to be successful at trading in the stock market, you're going to need a crystal ball. After all, it's impossible to predict the future, right? Like any endeavor in life, before you decide it's impossible, get some advice from the experts. You might find that it's not so impossible after all. For daily market overviews that give you direction on the key indices, selective stocks, and commodities, subscribe to the Opening Call newsletter at TFNN.com. The Opening Call newsletter is written by Basil Chapman, creator of the trading methodology known as the Chapman Wave. The Chapman Wave up-down sequence gives you an edge in identifying price turns, finding the peaks and valleys in stock prices. Get the Opening Call newsletter by Basil Chapman in your inbox every day. First-time subscribers also get a 30-day money-back guarantee. If you're not satisfied, let us know, and you'll get a full refund within 30 days of signing up. TFNN.com, educating investors.
Everything in the universe is governed by the Fibonacci sequence. This mathematical principle is responsible for everything from the most aesthetically pleasing artwork to patterns in the stock market. To stay on top of stock patterns you can take advantage of, sign up for the Fibonacci 24/7 newsletter at TFNN.com. When you subscribe, you'll get a weekly report from veteran day trader Larry Pesavento on stocks you need to pay attention to. And you can trust Larry's analysis. After all, he's got 45 years experience as a day trader. Larry will also provide daily charts, videos, and data on the key markets that he's tracking. Expect notifications from Larry on market movement you need to act on at any time. First-time subscribers also get a 30-day money-back guarantee. If you're not satisfied, let us know and you'll get a full refund within 30 days of signing up. Subscribe to the Fibonacci 24/7 newsletter today. TFNN.com, educating investors.
This segment is brought to you by Thinkorswim. For more information, just click the Thinkorswim banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
Welcome back, folks. We got the S&P's positive by about 11 points right now. NASDAQ 100 up by 106 right now. We got Amazon on our charts. How about the run yesterday on Amazon in both directions, man? You trade lower on the Microsoft numbers with AWS. You're up to 99.89 on the Microsoft numbers on Tuesday. You dive down to 91.52 yesterday on the open. And just like that, man, you charge higher. Amazon's up another 1.7% today. Pretty remarkable action. They're out with their numbers next week. Microsoft. You see the rebound they had, man. They go from 230 to 242. Today, you're up another 1.1%. Google shares up by 1.1% as well. We jump over to Apple. Apple up 1%. So check it out, right? I mean, you get Tesla up 8.5%, off the highs, but holding on to most of those gains pretty well. And you got all the big stocks up pretty dramatically, man. We get the NASDAQ 100 up 1%. The reason why is, like I just went over, you got Apple, Microsoft, Google. Yeah, all of them. Let's see how Netflix is doing. Netflix giving back some of the gains, quite a run it's been on since last week on their numbers, from 313 to 370. Disney shares, quite a run yesterday as well. You make it up to 109 today. We give up some of that. We're flat right now on Disney shares. And as I mentioned, the numbers that are coming out, whether it's today after the bell, we got Intel numbers, jumping over how they're trading. Remember, pretty small number factored into the Intel numbers. They give up some of the gains it had pre-market. You got Intel actually rolling over to the red. They're out with their numbers after the bell today. Visa out with their numbers. Look how weird all these charts look when this happens, right? You got to zoom in to really see the volatility, because it looks like nothing when you have those tails on that one bar that's erroneous data. Intel, Visa, their numbers after the bell, and then we get Chevron tomorrow morning on the heels that they're doing $75 billion in buybacks, quite an increase for Chevron. We got American Express tomorrow before the bell as well, and they get back some of the numbers. MasterCard out with their numbers. MasterCard off 1.6%. Tesla giving up some of those gains. All right, we didn't quite make it, but we got the S&Ps. They give it all back in terms of that gain we just had. Look at this. Watch out, folks. Watch out. Are we going to do it? We got about 20 seconds, and we got the S&Ps up by 4 points. I'm not sure we'll make it. The market's waiting for our man, Basil Chapman. He's up next, folks. Larry Pesavento, live. Steve Rhodes at 11. Fast market at 12. They'll be talking some equities you heard about. I'll talk to you tomorrow morning, folks. Stay tuned for Basil right now. Have a great